Good evening to our viewers watching on television and those joining us online across our social media platforms. I am Adana Doric with the Tuesday, April 28th edition of the Ghana TV9 News. In the headlines tonight, Attorney General Nandlal unveils massive legislative overhaul. Ghana files formal protest over Venezuelan's map provocation. Over 330 DUI convictions recorded as police ramped up enforcement. Prime Minister Phillips demands stricter compliance as Ghana's workforce surges. GPF toughens licensing process to curb road accidents. And Merriman's Mall vendors sound alarm over migrants' occupation of unfinished stalls. Now for the news in depth. Ghana is set for its most significant legal shakeup in decades as Attorney General Anil Nandlal unveiled a massive legislative reform agenda. This overhaul aims to drag the criminal justice system into a modern era, slashing trial delays and ensuring a fair process for all. Here's more.
Speaking at a regional training initiative supported by the United Nations Development Programme and the European Union, Nandlal signaled that the changes go far beyond incremental updates, instead targeting foundational weaknesses in how justice is delivered. Central to this effort is a sweeping update of Guyana's legal framework, including the replacement of the country's 19th century evidence laws. The current statute, dating back to 1893, is widely seen as outdated and ill-suited for a digital age where much of modern evidence is electronic. The new evidence bill, modeled in part on international best practices, is expected to allow courts to more easily admit digital records, video, and other forms of technologically generated proof. Nandlal emphasized that this reform is not merely technical, but essential to ensuring justice keeps pace with modern realities. Courts, he noted, must be equipped to handle everything from smartphone data to digital surveillance, which increasingly form the backbone of criminal investigations. Without such update, prosecutions risk being undermined by procedural gaps rather than factual weaknesses. Alongside the evidence bill, the government is advancing amendments to the Sexual Offences Act, including provisions for the creation of a national sex offenders registry. This move is intended to strengthen monitoring and deterrence while improving public safety. It also reflects a broader shift toward data-driven enforcement and greater accountability in handling serious crimes. Another major pillar of reform includes strengthening legislation to combat financial crimes, including money laundering and terrorist financing. While Guyana already performs well regionally, new comprehensive laws are being drafted to replace what Nandlal described as a fragmented system built up over time. These updated statutes will incorporate global standards and provide authorities with broader investigative and enforcement powers.
We have a new evidence bill. We have a 1893 Evidence Act. I mean, just the mention of the date would persuade you that it's completely anachronistic. We have a new bill now, a comprehensive bill that will embrace all the modern and technological advances that have been made. It will allow for the easy admission into evidence of computer-generated documents and films and all the apparatus and equipment that we use now in our everyday lives that were obviously not around in 1893.
The Attorney General added that while some of the new laws may appear strict, they are necessary in a rapidly changing world.
The fact is that we don't draft these legislation in abstract. These legislation represent international guiding principles that are sent to us by global organizations whose jurisdiction it is to monitor these types of activities and regulatory framework across the globe. In Guyana, in the Caribbean, we have the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force that wields that responsibility.
The Guyana Police Force is tightening the road to licensing, with Inspector Richard Schultz warning that proper education, not just a permit. Speaking from traffic headquarters, Schultz mapped out a rigorous new pathway for drivers, stressing that the process is a life-saving measure designed to curb road carnage across the country. More in this report.
Eligible applicants can begin the process at age 16 once they have the required identification documents. The first step involves visiting the official Guyana Police Force website to download the Law on the Driver package, which contains key study materials including the highway code and other theoretical resources needed to prepare for the examination. Inspector Richard Trott explained that after adequately studying the material, applicants are required to make a payment at an MMG outlet before proceeding to register online for their written examination.
Upon downloading the material via a computer or a cell phone, the applicant would self-study the material. Once the applicant is competent enough on the material he or she studies, they will then visit a MMG outlet to make a payment of $3,500 towards the Guyana Police Force.
Following successful completion of the theory exam, applicants receive a pass certificate enabling them to move to the next phase. This involves visiting the Guyana Revenue Authority to obtain a provisional license, commonly referred to as the Law on the Driver license, which allows individuals to begin practical driving. This provisional period lasts for 3 months, during which learners are expected to gain significant driving experience. When ready, applicants must schedule a practical driving test at a certifying office within their region.
Once they complete the exam at the center, they will be issued their pass letter. Upon uplifting their pass certificate, they will then visit the Guyana Revenue Authority, where they will be eligible to purchase a provisional driver's license.
Authorities continue to stress that the process is not merely administrative but vital to national road safety. Applicants are urged to approach each step with diligence, as responsible driving remains a critical factor in saving lives on Guyana's roads. Adana Durek, Guyana TV9 News.
President Irfan Ali has filed a formal protest with CARICOM following a provocative mob display by Venezuela's acting president that claims Guyanese territory. President Ali labeled the move a violation of international law and a threat to regional stability. Guyana's Private Sector Commission, PSC, joined the outcry, condemning the symbolic aggression for undermining the ongoing ICJ legal process. Guyana maintains that its borders were permanently settled by the 1899 arbitral award and calls for regional support against the escalating rhetoric. More news after the break. Stay tuned.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2026 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. Persons eligible for registration must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for their area of residence to apply. Persons who are already registered could apply for a name change if they have changed their names since they were registered, apply for corrections if there is incorrect information on their national ID cards. Persons who are desirous of conducting any of the above transactions must provide the relevant supporting documents. Persons who are already registered must collect their new ID cards if they have not yet done so. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at a different address than the one you were registered at. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. If you have moved to a new address since you were registered, you are required to update your address by applying for a transfer to ensure your address is accurate. Where to apply for a transfer? Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to apply for a transfer. When to apply for a transfer? You can apply to have your address updated during this national registration exercise. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. The office hours for GCOM are: permanent registration offices open Monday to Thursdays from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 16 hours 30, and on Fridays from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 15 hours 30. The offices will be closed on weekends and holidays. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. You're watching again at TV9 News Bulletin. Minister of Human Services Dr. Vindhya Prasad is pushing for a national system to tackle gender-based violence, arguing that no single agency can handle the crisis alone. Speaking on the Starting Point podcast, she addressed public concerns by stressing that real progress requires a coordinated effort across multiple government sectors. The details in this report.
The minister acknowledged that gender-based violence cases deeply affect the nation and often lead to public scrutiny of her ministry. However, Dr. Prasad said much of the criticism stems from a lack of understanding about how responsibilities are shared across the justice and social protection systems.
If people have a problem, they can't say, well, oh, you go home and fix it. And so, absolutely not. That discretion is removed. So we are moving more to prosecution. There then comes, again, not the Ministry of Human Services, comes the court system, comes the DPP, comes the entire court system. What happens there? We have to get a protection order. It goes there. The case needs to move to prosecution and be prosecuted. It goes there.
The minister explained that while her ministry plays a key role in providing support services to survivors, it is law enforcement that serves as the lead agency responsible for investigation and action. She stressed that reporting must go to the police, where legal enforcement is carried out, while her ministry focuses on care and assistance for victims. Dr. Prasad further outlined reforms under the Family Violence Act, noting that the legislation has strengthened the justice response by improving police powers and tightening timelines for action. She highlighted that officers can now enter premises without a warrant in suspected cases of violence and must act within strict frames to initiate charges.
So we are not law enforcement. So I wanted to make that distinction. But in even having the enactment of the Family Violence Act, we still need the Ghana Police Force. Still stops there. But there were things that were put into the law to make sure that they were able to move quickly and that justice could be swift. One, they could go into a home where there's enough reason to suspect or know that violence is happening there without an arrest warrant. That's a big deal.
She also pointed out that the law removes the ability of police to mediate in domestic violence cases, ensuring that matters proceed toward prosecution rather than informal resolution. According to Dr. Prasad, this shift is intended to prioritize accountability and strengthen protections for victims. The minister noted that the justice process also involves the courts and the Director of Public Prosecutions, making gender-based violence response a multi-layered system. She said her ministry's responsibilities to ensure survivors are supported through reporting mechanisms, counseling, and social services. Dr. Prasad concluded by urging the public to better understand the distinct roles of each agency involved. She said that while accountability is important, a clearer grasp of how the system operates would lead to fairer assessments of the work being done and strengthen national efforts to address gender-based violence.
The high-profile trial involving alleged fraud during the 2020 general and regional elections was abruptly adjourned today following a sharp confrontation between the prosecution and defense. The clash erupted during witness testimony, leading to a heated exchange that forced the presiding magistrate to pause proceedings. The trial, which features several high-ranking former electoral officials as defendants, has faced multiple delays since its inception. Legal teams are expected to return to court later this week to resolve that procedural dispute. The case remains a focal point of national interest as the country seeks accountability for the events following the 2020 polls. Speaking for President Irfan Ali at the 2026 OSH Symposium, Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips called for a new era of workplace safety to match Guyana's rapidly expanding economy. Addressing stakeholders at the Arthur Chong Conference Center, Minister Phillips framed modern labor protection as a vital national responsibility during this period of unprecedented workforce growth. Here are the details.
The Prime Minister anchored his address in the global observance of World Day for Safety and Health at Work, stressing that no productivity target is worth a human life. He highlighted this year's focus on psychosocial working environments, calling attention to stress, burnout, harassment, and excessive workload as hidden but deadly risks shaping modern workplaces across the world, including Guyana. He pointed to Guyana's dramatic economic transformation driven by oil and gas, infrastructure expansion, and foreign investment, noting that while safety systems have strengthened, the pace of growth has introduced new pressures in high-risk sectors such as offshore energy and construction. He warned that even minor lapses in judgment can have catastrophic consequences, making rigorous safety culture non-negotiable.
Health, safety, and environment is a covenant, and the difference between a worker who goes home to their family and one who does that. I'm proud to say that Guyana has risen to meet this standard.
Phillips emphasized that occupational safety must now extend beyond physical hazards to include mental and emotional well-being. He described how long rotations away from home, intense operational pressure, and isolation in high-risk environments contribute to psychosocial strain that can silently erode focus, decision-making, and resilience among workers.
We must train our managers to lead with empathy and create cultures where a worker can say, I am not okay today, without prayer.
Calling for urgent action, he urged employers to embed psychosocial safety into workplace policy, training, and leadership culture. He advocated for systems where workers can speak openly about stress without fear of retaliation, where managers are trained in empathy, and where fairness, clarity, and respect define organizational life.
More news after the break. Stay tuned.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Guyana, Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, primetime, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A, Lamaha Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9. New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
Welcome back. You're watching the Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. The Guyana Police Force (GPF) has secured 331 convictions for driving under the influence (DUI) so far in 2026, signaling a major crackdown on road delicts. The Traffic Department reported that these convictions are the results of an intensified enforcement campaign involving increased breathalyzer testing and frequent roadblocks nationwide. Authorities stated that the zero-tolerance approach aims to curb road fatalities and promote responsible driving. The GPF is urging motorists to designate a driver or use taxi services, warning that patrols will continue to focus on high-traffic entertainment zones to ensure road safety. Merriman's Mall is reaching a breaking point. For over a year, vendors at the back of the border complex says they've been forgotten. It's not just about slow sales anymore, it's about safety. Stall holders are sounding the alarm as unfinished stalls become occupied by migrants, turning their place of business into a zone of uncertainty. Here's more.
Vendors stated that the Spanish-speaking nationals have been using the abandoned structures as makeshift living spaces, raising concerns about sanitation, noise, and public health. One vendor described the area as being left in unbearable conditions, citing constant smoke, litter, and foul odors affecting nearby businesses.
We've been faced with overflow of, well, I'm not sure if it's Venezuelan, but it's foreign people, right? They came and they start making up residence in all these unfinished stalls. I'm the only person at the back here, like the only other female at the back here. There's only two female at the back here, and our stalls is obliquely opposite the two unfinished stalls. So we're facing with more of a problem here where they come and they dwell at the back here, they mess up, they smoke, they change off their clothes. As you guys can see, the stench and the condition of the back here, we don't know what else to do.
Tensions, according to stall holders, have escalated into confrontation. Vendors claims attempts to move the migrants have led to aggressive encounters, including threats and display of weapons, leaving more workers fearful of returning to their stalls, especially at night.
We would chase them. My barber there, he has a piece of pipe at the back there, and he normally would lash the pipe and say, well, yeah, get up and move, yeah, get up and go from here. And then it's starting to get more aggressive. It starts to get more dangerous where they start pulling out knife on us. They start to want to fight because we cut down the hammock. They had a hammock, they had a mattress, they had chair, they had pillow, sheets, they had a whole lot of stuff. And we've been constantly moving it all the time.
Business owners also say the situation is driving away customers and damaging trade in an already difficult economic climate. One vendor recalled a major break-in in which she says her entire business was strapped, deepening her sense of insecurity at the location.
The other mayor, I've never seen him, I don't even know him. So I don't know what else to do to get these people away from here. And the reason why I'm so concerned and afraid for my life and my business is because my business was broken into 3 years ago. 3 years ago, the 5th of December, my business was broken into. And they cleaned every single thing in here. I talking generator, AC, fan, drop card, even a bowl, a bucket. Every single thing, everything in here was gone. I have pictures. They break the roof and come in, and then they break the back door and went out.
The vendors lamented that repeated complaints to authorities have gone unanswered. Vendors say they have shared videos and reports with both police and city officials, but claim there has been little to no follow-up or visible intervention at the site. They are once again appealing to the mayor and city council for urgent intervention, requesting improved security measures. They say without intervention, more businesses may be forced to close. Adana Daragana, TV9 News.
Turning to regional news, Copa Airlines has ordered up to 60 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft to modernize its fleet and expand its hubs of the Americans network. The 8-year growth plan aims to boost flight frequency and launch new routes across the Caribbean and the Americas. This major investment reinforces Panama's role as a regional aviation leader while promising enhanced efficiency and passenger comfort. Internationally, as the Middle East conflict continues, Iran has offered the United States a new proposal to end its control over the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for the U.S. lifting its blockade of Iranian ports while suspending its threat to resume bombing. President Trump was expected to hold a meeting today in the Situation Room with his top national security and foreign policy team to discuss the stalemate in the negotiations and potential next steps. Several new outlets report Trump does not appear open to Iran's proposal, which would postpone talks over Iran's nuclear program to a later date. Those are our major headlines for tonight's newscast. For more trending stories, follow us on our Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube platforms at GYTV9. I'm Adana Dorek. Thanks for watching.